deliberation really. So, other than my parents will love it, so.
All right, any other questions for the applicant? Okay, keep,
Thank you.
all right, Meredith. Yeah.
So, your staff report. This is the first annexation under the new state annexation statute. So I had to do some learning on this one to unlearn what I had previously learned. Yay! So the State Parks Department is requesting annexation of area surrounding the water line that they have unconventionally constructed prior to planning and zoning review. That was jointly approved by the city engineers department and city council last June. It's not the favorite approach of the planning department, but we did not participate in that part. So here we are. And we are trying to grant the necessary annexation for the area surrounding that line as it has been built. I guess the nice thing is that we know the line will in fact go around the stuff that is in the ground rather than hoping for the best later. So that's a win. Under the new annexation statute, this is considered an owner-initiated annexation. So that will be important to remember the difference because the types are no longer the types we used to be used to. So they have new names and this one is owner-initiated. The cost is entirely borne by the Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation, other than the staff time of city employees to review things. But for example, Morgan's engineering time is billed hourly to whoever is asking her to look at stuff. So those are costs that have been recovered. Why do I bring up costs to this public agency? Because that is a core component of reviewing annexation. Will it create costs to the different taxing districts? Uniquely, when we think about tax exempt state agencies, there isn't a change to the tax base because they weren't paying taxes to any local jurisdiction anyway. So there's no economic analysis to perform on that, in fact. Other than that, your major instruction in this is to decide what the zoning shall be, because regardless of whether it is zoned today, the moment that you annex something, you have to decide it to be zoned again. It becomes unzoned once it's annexed. So you guys have to make a recommendation to city council on what the zoning should be. This is a good opportunity to implement the comprehensive plan and future land use plan, which was designed to envision this area and any public land or recreation-based land to be rezoned to agriculture forest. That doesn't really affect the zoning use of this property as that doesn't really go through the local land use process. So zoning it according to the comprehensive plan won't affect their ability to manage the park into the future. It'll just make our map look right in a small segment. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
I actually have a question for Bill. This one, Bill, based on the new zoning laws and the impact zone type thing with the city and the county going on. With this looks to be, we're zoning a partial or a portion of the lot. Is that okay? Or do we have to, like the city impact has to consider the whole parcel and not an individual piece? So does that come into play at all on this?
That's a really good question.
I asked Nichols this question a month ago. I can say his answer if you allow me to, or if you want me to, can.
That'd be terrific.
Okay.
I don't know the answer off the top of my head to that one.
So Bill Nichols said, as long as the line of area to be annexed goes around the infrastructure, in this unique case where state agencies don't participate in local land use planning, it makes sense that it surrounds the objects to be served by water. However, when we talk about privately owned parcels, we should be considering the entire parcel.
I like it.
And the same for like the line of zoning. So we currently have lots that have multiple zones on them. They're mostly like the Bear Basin parcels or things out to the east side that buffer between R4 and R1 or E. So that one's not weird, but good question, Robert.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Meredith?
So it's agricultural forest. It's the future land now.
Correct.
Okay.
The current is RE. And that's what the planned density of all infrastructure for the whole peninsula has been. And that's already, I think, do you have one sewer hookup left or less? Yeah.
You're like, can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no more density left, so this whole piece is mostly to acknowledge that it's not rural estate land, it's a park.
Okay, any other questions for Morgan? I mean, excuse me, Meredith, before we go to Morgan? All right, Meredith, Morgan.
Hello, commissioners. I have been working with the Ponderosa State Park team for over a year now to get these water main plans approved, and under construction. The main loop has been constructed so far and accepted. There's a few things that still need to be constructed because of the limited construction season that we had. And they're required to be annexed into the city to receive the water. So the loop itself isn't out of compliance from our thoughts. It's once you connect to it to serve properties outside of the city limits, that's when the issue starts. So that's why we're here to provide the annexation to serve those buildings that are planned. I only had 2 comments. I believe I got an email updating my first comment, clarifying if the buildings and all the water service lines were being included in the annexation boundary. I believe that's been adjusted to show those in there now. And then once the annexation draft is complete, I just need 2 digital files that comply with our digital data submission standards to review before I can approve it.
Oh, and I'll note, I forgot to tell you, my major condition of approval is just that before city council, they draft the ordinance to actually annex because we don't do that.
All right, commissioners, any other questions for Morgan? Okay, with that, is a public hearing, so we'll open up to public comment. Is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment? I see anybody that's there, and I do not see anybody in the audience. You know, part of the overall thing, so.
All at once now.
Yeah. With that, I will close the public comment section. Commissioners, any questions for staff? Anything before we close the public hearing?
Is the zoning recommendation part of it's not part of a condition, it's gotta be.
I think it can be part of your deliberations, Bill. Does that, remember I asked you to provide instructions on how they deliberate without instructions? I have no criteria to torture you with today.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think this is, boy, we're having a really interesting meeting
I know.
this week. Yeah, I mean, I think Meredith's right. I mean, you know, look, I think that the P&Z Commission can, you know, basically deliberate the application. Robert, I've been furiously doing research on your previous question, and yeah, I think Nichols got it right as usual. Don't tell him I said that, but I think Nichols got it right. I do think you can have multiple zoning classifications on a single parcel, and in particular where the infrastructure and the situation merits it, and this would be that case. So, but anyway, under the circumstances, yeah, I mean, we don't really have a lot of criteria here to deliberate, and so I think this is more of a, are we in favor of the annexation or not, and we vote.
And what zone do you like?
What's
And
the,
yeah,
what's the adjoining property zoning to the south?
It's RE on both sides, but the future is entirely agriculture forest. So hypothetically, like the city can always initiate a zone change in partnership with the property to make it consistent with the existing use, and that would be a discussion to hold during like the comp plan, which we're gonna kick off in next year. So it wouldn't be a spot zone because it's consistent with the map and it's implementing the comp plan. And again, because it doesn't really affect their ability to develop in the future or manage anything because there isn't participation in the local land use process. It's really a low risk decision to follow the comp plan.
Do you think we should stay with the, or consider it, or
What is-
suggest that it stays RE?
What is RE? Yeah.
RE is rural estate, so it's more consistent with residential development and subdivision up to 5 dwelling units per acre. Which I would not describe this as consistent with a residential subdivision.
Say 5 per acre?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's-
1 per
It's
5
1
acres.
unit per 5, yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. I was like, wow, that was a very dense rural environment.
Michelle's paying attention.
She is. She always is.
And so all of the park ground that is in the city, that includes most of your campgrounds, that's RE.
Yeah, and since that parcel isn't participating in today's activities, we don't get to force it to.
Right.
It's not in the sandbox.
Think continue RE based on what it basically surrounded by, or well, that plus it has the water and if they need to own it down the line, they can come back. Because we need to make some suggestion to city council.
Yeah, you have to pick one.
You have to pick one. So it's, I guess we have a choice of RE or.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to lean on our city planner. On her recommendation.
Yeah, I do too.
What was your recommendation?
Mine is agriculture forest.
Okay.
But mostly because there's not really a harm. We have a map that likes it. And I like the map.
Okay, I'm fine with that. All right, any other questions for staff before we close the public comment? Or public hearing, excuse me.
No.
All right, I make a motion, we close the public hearing on this item.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
I
All right. That, I don't think we've, I think deliberation wise, we pretty much discussed everything, but unless there's any other questions, I'm open for a motion.
Wants to do the first annexation.
Yeah.
Motion. Not ever, but.
So
in
you want me to
time.
use- You want me to use 2? With the modification of recommendation, zoning?
Sure.
And well, and there was also a drafting an ordinance to actually execute the annexation. Did I catch that right?
That's in the conditions of approval. So
Okay.
that's- Good question.
We'll go to the city council.
Correct.
Okay.
You want to finish, Liz?
Sure. So,
Yet.
let's see. I move to recommend approval of Annex 2501 to the McCall City Council with staff recommended conditions of approval with a recommendation for zoning as agricultural forest.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, thank you. And with that,
Patience.
we go down to other. We got it. I don't know if we have any signs. I don't think there's any signs.
I don't have any signs. We are back at the time of year where you will see all kinds of fun things popping out of the ground that look like signs, but they are not planted in the ground, so they should not be there. We have a wonderful new code enforcement officer this spring season who is trying to keep up with the game of whack-a-mole on the signs. But I'm also receiving regular communications of dissatisfaction with the sign code, to which I recommend they write to their elected officials about what they would like to see changed and what their recommended solutions are. If you have a problematic neighborhood sign, please let me know. Or you can be a steward of public information and let them know too.
All right, and anything with your upcoming meeting on 20th, remind
Um,
everybody?
I think we'll be ready because we split it into two. I hate to imagine what tonight would have been like if I had not forced this upon you. And then I don't know if you would like an update, maybe at the June meeting on where impact area stands,
It'd be nice.
to some extent.
When's?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you that today. It's not on the agenda. Sorry.
Commission meet the 19th, right?
They do. So we could either do your update at the end of the 20th, but there might not be full thoughts formed. Or we could do the 3rd, which is 2 weeks right after that.
I think you do the 3rd. That
Yeah,
way we have a
this
little bit
is
more
something.
clarity, hopefully.
Okay.
Did much of
Can
all
do.
yesterday.
Other than that, I'm not expecting June to be as nightmarish. So I am not recommending a second June meeting at this time. And then throughout the course of the summer, we will be employing the assistance of Jacobs Planning and Engineering to help with the volume of applications. So there'll be a couple staff reports that are prepared, and then they walk me through their analysis and I check it. But that'll hopefully help me survive this job in the long term. Michelle.
Okay. All right. Well, then that completes our items. Tony, you want to take it over?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:50.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. See you, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Thank you.